Hello Infiniteers, and welcome back to my Tron toy box. Today I'm going to show you how to build the next two areas in this toy box, which are the I/O tower and the Solar Sailor hangar. Here's a shot of the I/O tower, and at first glance it looks like a tall structure, but apparently those three sections that are sticking up don't always look like that, because here's another shot that shows the tower kind of sunken into the ground. Here's some footage from the movie that shows it in a bit more detail. After they go through this door, you can see the tower in the background. And as they get closer, there are these pillars and cables that they need to climb, and you can see them doing that in the movie. When they get to the top, they look into a window, and then they look down at the platform where the Guardian awaits. And then after Tron convinces the Guardian to let him pass, he enters this chamber where there's a pedestal that is presumably the actual I/O port, and this is the pedestal that he actually stands on in order to communicate with his user. Now it would take a lot of memory to try to build something that big and that complex, so I decided to build a simple digital mountain for the player to climb instead. And at the top of the tower, I placed my pedestal. Now, unfortunately, we don't have anything that looks quite like that final chamber and that pedestal, but we do have a building piece that we can use to recreate the Guardian's platform. And it's this piece from the customizable plants drawer, Fantasy Terrain Corner 1. And if you style that using the Tron theme, you end up with this Tron rounded corner, which looks pretty much like the Guardian's platform, and I like that. To save a little time, I also dropped a few other pieces we're going to need, so I don't have to scroll through the drawer. It's the step cliff, and then a little further to the right in that drawer you find the small rocky terrain block 2, and a little further to the right you find the ramp cliff. Okay, so I'm going to place one of these over here to start with, because we need to get up on top of this platform out of the valley where we come out of the canyon maze. And I'm going to use this ramp to help get up there as well. Like that. Okay, then I'm going to pick this piece up and put it down, which gets us back to that part of the drawer. Go to the next size smaller, and on the back corner here, like that, we're going to place 1 and then 2. And then around the perimeter of that, we'll place some of these. And we're going to put another level of blocks up here at this level. So there's the rough shape of the I/O tower. And then we're going to put some climbing pieces along around the perimeter. So starting at this bottom taller section, we'll go over to the left, pick up the canyon pieces. And we'll put a climbing cliff in the middle so it doesn't get too repetitive, and also so they have a way to climb it. Okay. And we don't want to make this repetitive, as I said, because once they climb this structure, it wouldn't be fun to climb the exact same structure up here. So we've broken this up a little bit along the top here. And let me get my screen grab here so I make sure we build this the way I had it. All right, so we're going to grab this piece over here. We can put one of these up here like this. Put one of these in the middle there. And we'll put one of these down here. Try to mix it up a little bit. Put one of these up here. And then a pair of these over on this end. Like that. Okay. And then coming up here, we'll grab this piece. Put that on this corner. Put a couple of those on that corner. A couple of these on this corner. Actually, did we do that here? Hold on. Yeah. Put those up here. I meant to put one of the smaller blocks down here. Another one of these. Okay. And then we'll grab this piece here. Put another one over here. And we're just kind of mixing this up so it's not so repetitive. So if they climb this piece, they don't climb another one, they climb something a little different. And if they climb this piece, then they come up and have something different. So there's something different at every level on the way up. So it's not repetitive. You don't want them climbing the same piece over and over again. And then when they get to the top, let's pick this big piece up again and put that down. We're going to go grab this long, tiny, thin terrain block, and we're going to drop this right up here on the edge like that, which is going to be our exit from the I.O. tower heading to the Solar Sailor hangar. All right, and then at the top of the I.O. tower, we're going to place our platform. So let me pick that up. And we'll bring that up here. All right, and then I want to try to center this. So looking at the pattern on the terrain, we can kind of figure out where to place this to center it. If you're not sure, you can place a couple of temporary blocks to space things out, but this is the center of the top of the tower. Okay, and there is our I.O. tower. It doesn't look like that in the distance, but it does look like a tower, and I like the sky dome, how it has that ray of light coming from just that point over there, so that if you're in the canyon maze or over here in the light cycle arena, it kind of looks like sometimes that there's a light beam coming from there. So I really like that. So that's our I.O. tower. Excuse me. Now in the movie, after they finish at the I.O. tower, Tron and Yuri travel to the Solar Sailor hangar, which must obviously be nearby. And here's a picture of that. The hangar complex looks pretty big around, but it doesn't look particularly tall. And this is another place where I chose to deviate from the movie, because I needed the light beams to be far enough above the ground level that the beams and the sky islands would not obscure the sky dome or distract from what the player was doing at ground level, for example, in the light cycle arena and the canyons. So my hangar is going to be taller than wider, and again I chose not to build a huge wall of terrain on the back side of the toy box here to try to mimic that hangar, because I didn't want to obscure the nice sky dome in that direction, and I also didn't want to take up all the extra memory that would be required to build a wall as tall as I needed. Now here's a shot of the Solar Sailor inside the hangar bay. The walls and the ceilings are angled, which looks cool, but again it would take up extra memory to try to duplicate that look, so I chose to keep the architecture simple, I'll show you how to duplicate that, or a good way to try to duplicate that when we get to that point. In this shot, you can also see the hangar doors, and I chose to ignore those too, because it would be difficult to duplicate the opening and closing of those doors with the basic block shapes that we have. There's nothing for the player to do really in this location anyway, so there really isn't much point in spending a lot of time and memory building something that the player is only going to see for a few seconds. As for the solar sailor itself, here's a rendering of that. You can see the big sailcloths at the front to catch the solar rays. There's a walkway that extends from there back to the passenger platform in the middle, and then behind that platform is some kind of device that brings up the rear, from which the light beam is projected backwards and continues on its course. Trying to duplicate the shape of those sails is going to be tough, but I came up with something that I think doesn't look too bad. But before we get to that, let's build the hangar itself. So to do that, let's pick up this block and put it back. And let me get to this part of the screenshots that I made. Okay, so we're going to stack 2 of those up, and that's going to be the floor of the hangar. And then for the walls, we're going to put a block on the back side over here. Run a wall of those down this way, and some of them up that way, and then come over to this front corner and put 2 of those in there like that. Okay, so here is the entrance to the hangar. The solar sailor will be here, and the light beam will travel in that direction towards the MCP. Okay, let's put in a little stairway here, because we need to get down to the level that the I/O tower is at over there. So we're going to put some of these blocks in here to kind of build a little ramp. And this will be, this will be the landing platform for the rail slide coming from the I/O tower. And if we go to the right, we'll find the ramps that we're going to use. And I'm going to use this terrain ramp here. Like that. Okay. And this level here should line up with a little protruding block on that end. Okay. All right, so now let's go up to the platforming toys. We're going to go left to the rail slides. Drop a piece here right on the end of this. And for the theme on this, I'm going to use the Avengers rail. I'll set that to be my theme. We're going to do 3 of these, followed by this rotating rail. We're going to turn the rotating rail like that. And this is going to force the player to have to step on the platform up there to be consistent with the story, because they'll need to do that in order to rotate this rail so they can use this rail slide. And then we're just going to run these all the way down till we intersect with the solar sailor hangar. That. And you'll notice the activity meter didn't really jump up very high, and neither did our memory usage, so I like that. When I was building this originally, I noticed that, and it gave me great confidence to be able to build some long rail slides out there toward the Sky Islands and the MCP complex, which is going to sit in the far structure over there. Okay, so there's how we get from the I/O tower over here. Let's come back now and let's pick this piece up and put it back to get to the terrain drawer. And we are going to use this piece to frame in the entrance. And eventually I'm going to use this piece for the ceiling. And a bunch of these will sit in here like this. For right now, we'll just put that one in. Okay, for the angled walls in here, if you decide you want to do that, what you're going to want to do, and you probably will want to wait until we finish building the solar sailor to do this, but you can see how this will work or not. But you may be able to just place one row of these along the bottom. Ideally, though, you'd want to do two. So like that. And you'd want to theme these. If you come over to the right, there is a robin's egg texture, which I would recommend using. That has a blue that kind of matches the movie. And it's got a little bit of a circuit kind of look to the top of it, which I like. And so you're going to run a bunch of these down here. You would then run a bunch of these along here like this. When you get to the upper part, you'd use this balcony wedge here. And you basically come up, leave room for the ceiling, and do that. And then run a row of those all the way down. Okay? Do that on this side as well. And of course you're going to want some blocks behind those to plug that gap. So you can use some of these, for example, underneath there to fill that gap. Of course you'll do that up here too. But that's a lot of blocks and it takes up memory. And so I'm not going to do that in my toy box. And you might say, looking at the memory, it looks like I have a lot. Well, I have not built the rail slides or the sky islands yet, or the MCP complex. And we need to leave room in the memory for the light cycles and the racetrack, and there's still a lot to build yet. So that's why I'm not going to do that. Alright, back to the terrain drawer. And let's put in some helper blocks now that help us position the solar sailor that we're going to build. We're going to place the first helper block right here, with another one off the corner like that, and then two blocks down here like this. And to save a little bit of time, I placed a building piece down here out of building sets group 5. It is the Nomansian vent. I'm going to use this for the edge of the solar sailor. And this is going to sit in here like this and like that. Okay, so one nudge this direction, one nudge that direction. Okay, and we're going to raise this up too, I think. Let me grab my screenshot here to make sure. Yes, so we're going to raise this up like that. And then we're going to put this as the base for the passenger, the place where the passengers ride. We'll put another one of those on that side, another one of these on this side. So like that. Okay. Now we can take these little helper blocks out. And there's the passenger part of the solar sailor. Now for the walkway that goes down the side, I had been thinking that we could use this like that. and put some of those down along the way, but that's a little too tall compared to what was in the movie. And so instead, what we're going to do is up under the basic blocks, if we go left, I'm going to use one of those flat floor blocks. We're going to put this in here like that, and we're going to style this. I don't know which way would be faster, but it's the Geonosis floor grate that I want to use. That one. I'll set that to be my theme. And I want to rotate that way. And we're going to put 6 of these down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like that. Okay. And then we're going to grab this dome. This is going to sit here like this eventually. And for the theme on this, if we go, let's see, back to the left, I think it's the end door hangar walls that I used. I don't think it was that one. It takes a while to apply this. Yeah, that's too dark. I think it was that one. Yeah, that's the one I want to use. All right, cancel out of that. And then for the solar sails, there's really, as I said, nothing that matches that shape. But we do have this Nomancian wall piece, which has kind of a look to it. And if we could place that, like right here, I think that could be good. But we're going to have to move that dome and attach it with a path. So actually, let's leave that for the moment. And let's go ahead and put our path in here, because that's going to tell us where to place the path. All right, so we want to put that right under the middle of the sky dome, or the dome. It didn't put me in point mode, so let me delete that. Do that again. There we go. And if we come up here, go into the properties for the path, turn off auto start objects when connected. Okay. Now we know where the path is. Let's slide this out of the way. And we're going to move this over and put another one on the other side. And then we can come in here to the block, new path connection, connect that right there. Okay, so there, it's not the greatest, but yeah, at least you have something that looks kind of like a sail on the sides. And I'm not really sure what else we would use. That's about the closest thing I could come up with that looked decent. And now you can see, if we come back down here, you can check those wedge blocks to see if that would interfere with that sail. And it doesn't look like it would, so you'd be able to place a row of those down and a row of those across, and it's not going to run into those sails. All right, and then for the front of this thing, let me grab that. If we go into the decorations drawer and we go over to the right, those of you on PC are not going to have this part, but those of you on platform who have the Marvel Battlegrounds playset will have this Ultron arm. And this is going to sit basically right in here. We're going to attach this to the path as well and position this right up on the front of this nose. So let me get this out of the way. We're going to do a new path connection. Where'd that go? There we go. Toy box path. Go up and select that. Go into the properties, and I want to go into that menu to anchor the camera here. Go into properties, toy box path, and we are going to say forward, backward. Goes that way. That's not the way we want to go. So horizontal offset is what we want. That's going to sit right out in the front. And then vertical offset, we're going to put that right up there like that. So that's the kind of the projector on the front for the light beam. And then we can go to the platforming toys. And we're going to put this right there like that. But of course we can't do that with that piece in the way. Oh, because we had this thing sitting there. Let's go ahead and take this off. I'm going to delete that link. And let's move this out of the way. Put that over here. And now we'll attach that back to the path. Selecting that point is kind of a challenge. There we go. And I think we're going to still run into that Ultron arm piece. Yeah. So we'll want to move this out of the way too, temporarily. So if we go into the properties, toy box path, let's go ahead and move this back. Bring this over. Slide this out. And I don't know why that other block moved again. That should have remained in place. That's weird. Well, we might be able to snap it back by just doing that. There we go. Okay. So there is the Solar Sailor and the start of our light beam going out over that way. And now that we have that in here, we can go ahead and cover the ceiling. And now our hangar is done. So let's see what we got. That's my Solar Sailor hangar and my Solar Sailor. And with that, we are out of time. When we come back to this series on Monday, I'll start building the light beams and the sky islands. Until then, I want to thank you for watching. Please leave a comment before you go and let me know what you think of my I/O tower and my Solar Sailor and the Solar Sailor hangar. And if you have any ideas for how to improve it, let me know. It's not the greatest, but it works. And before you go, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more Disney Infinity Toy Box builds like this. That's all for me today. Take care.